Vulture, you're listening to SewBro, where we talk and sew. Anyway, today I'm joined by my friend, musician, camping, aka DJ Basco.
Hello, hi. I'm happy to be here.
Every time you've heard that jingle music on It's Killing Me or SewBro, this guy right here.
Oh, I forgot we did I did the music for that. That's right, yeah. Very cool, very cool.
Yeah, and I've been using the sound bites as just the little intro music. Dang, you got your own merch on. That's cool.
No, this is just a one-off that was made for me, and I think it's really cool. Admittedly, however, it's baseball season, so it's the reason to bring that out of the closet, and wear it about because it's getting warm and it's baseball season. And
who's your favorite team?
It's the Angels, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We're terrible, but we're good right now, and I hope to continue that. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Angels fan. That
Angels
is.
fan. Yeah, that's right.
It's like being a Mets fan, where it's like you do it for the love.
Mm-hmm. It's for the love. It's for the love, and it's for the lower ticket prices and easier parking and lower food prices.
Yes, because
Dodger Stadium, they've priced me out, man.
Dodger Stadium. I love seeing the Dodgers go through their own weeb phase right now.
And I would love to hear that in your own words.
Seeing a bunch of people start embracing Japanese culture, phonetics, style, and to the point where they're redoing signs at Dodger Stadium.
Oh, then you hadn't been to Angel Stadium the past couple of years, because when we had Shohei Ohtani, that was happening with us.
You had to do everything to incentivize to keep him except win.
Yeah, exactly. And he would have stayed if we would have paid him, but I'm on the team. But I will say, every time that I've been to the stadium since, a lot of Japanese tourists have to stop, and it's right by Disneyland. It's the happiest place on earth, and the saddest place on earth is just down the street. Angel Stadium, the saddest place on earth.
I was performing at a bar, and they would play Angels History.
They would? What bar is this?
I don't remember, but I just remember
How south were you on the 5?
My favorite part about Angels history is all the times they almost got kind of close to sort of winning the World Series. So hey, we almost made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, not we're in the playoffs.
This is our year. And as Shayna had mentioned, my band is called Camping, and I have a song about a player that used to be on the team. And back in 2021, when I wrote that song, and we hadn't made the playoffs in 8-9 years at that point, and we still haven't made the playoffs since I've written that song in 2021. But there's a line in there, we're playoff bound, and even in 2021, 4 years ago now, my wife was like, you're really hopeful about that, you're really putting that in the universe, and it still has not happened, but it will happen eventually. It has to happen eventually. Every virgin scores eventually, right, Shannon? It's bound to happen.
I want to say yes, but Reddit would argue otherwise.
Yeah,
as we're speaking right now, someone is making a "this is it" pose, and 30 other people in their exact same position are saying, "You got this, even though they don't know if they got this.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel all the time with writing my music and sharing my perspective on life and things. I feel like I've got it, and I feel like I'm in control. But are we? Who's really in control, Shannon? The man.
I mean, according to psychologist Dr. Robert Zaplowski, he would say there's no one's in control, especially not you.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just along for the ride. It makes me think of the 7 layers of hell. Like Dante's 7 layers of hell. And I'm definitely with my depression and my BPD. I'm definitely that first. It's like the first or second layer, where it's just people being blown away by the winds, because they're being blown away by their different whims and their lusts and everything like that. And I feel like we as artists, in a way, tortured souls, be that we are, we me personally anyway, I can't speak for everybody, but my emotions blow me away to write songs or to do stupid shit sometimes. So. And that's how great art is made.
Yeah, I empathize with that because my dad is a Dodger fan. Like that's his religion of choice, and
Oh.
I remember like the Dodgers just when I was growing up, they didn't have a chance at the World Series. Just bad management and ownership. But
Angels right now.
I remember when I was with my dad and my three brothers when the Dodgers won the World Series, and just being a part of that energy. Also, it sounded like LA went to war because as soon as they won, you just heard fireworks and screaming across the city. Like
That's how
and
Dodger fans are.
people
man.
were
Yeah.
jumping up and down. People in my family were crying because it had been such a long wait. And
Wait, what year was this?
This
what,
was like-
what year are we talking?
this was the second time. This was the one the Astros didn't cheat us out of.
The one that just happened?
The one in like during the pandemic.
Okay, yeah. The people like to say that was the Mickey Mouse one. I wouldn't personally say that, but yeah, no. Any team, if the Angels won the series, if the Angels even won the playoffs in that shortened, 60-game season in 2020, I would have been ecstatic. But yeah, no, you guys won that one fair and square. You had Mookie. It was good.
Yeah, I mixed feelings about Mookie because he was on the Red Sox who also cheated, and he's like, "I'm one of you guys," and it's just like,
You know what? And that's what you have to remember about sports, and that's the heartbreak that I had to learn 2 years ago now. It's not about the name on the back of the jersey, it's about the name on the front of the jersey. You know what I'm saying? It's the team that you, for better or for worse, want to put a lot of emotional investment in, and a lot of time and energy. And baseball's long, man. It's 162 games. It's 7 months out of the year. That's a long season. So you really have to be into pain, especially if your team sucks. The Angels just got blown out yesterday. What was it, like 11-2 or something like that? And I had been waiting, and the game was like at 5 p.m. and I had been waiting all day for the game. And I planned my whole day around it. And I got chores done around the house that I wanted to get done. And I went to the weed shop and I got the weed I wanted to get. And I was planning on opening up a cold one and sitting down and just putting my feet up and just enjoying my afternoon. And the whole day was amazing because it was like, I've got this baseball game to look forward to and everything's going to go my way and it's amazing. And then they get torn their asses open and it's just like, why did I wait all day for this? Why did I do this to myself? But yeah, no, that's the fun of, and what a first world problem it is to just be passionate about something, to feel comfortable enough and to have all of your basic necessities met, where it's like, you know what, I don't need to focus on necessarily surviving today, but I'm really having a shitty day because a sports team I like sucks. So you gotta look at life that way, and you just gotta count your blessings. I feel personally. SewBro.
I empathize with that because I'm watching news from around the world, and there's times where like, is this designed for my cosplay? Symmetrical? Anyway, someone's home got bulldozed. But will getting this line straighter fill the void? And
That's
especially
really
with
what it is.
sports where you're just edging yourself the whole day, and then someone.
That's what it is. It's edging all day. Oh man, it was a ruined orgasm.
Oh man,
My
I
team
can't.
loses.
I can't wait for that team to win all over their.
all over that field.
Yeah, and
That's funny. That reminds me of a conversation I had recently with our mutual friend. It reminds me of a conversation I had recently with our mutual friend, Dre Magic. Has he been on the show?
no, working on it, booking him on a mutually.
Oh, he's always busy. That guy always is.
Yeah.
He's a magician in the sense that he's got so many bullets in the chamber. He's always got something going, and that I admire that about him. But why did I bring him up? I brought him up because he told me recently that his new favorite hobby is to make himself delusional all day by buying a lottery ticket.
Okay, see, when you're saying someone in our community is making themselves delusional, a
Yeah.
long list of cartoonish tangents come to mind.
You have to be a little delusional and a little into yourself to think that like, hey, what I have to say or what I have to put out into the world is worth your time. When corporations are battling for our time and our scrolling, you know, I read somewhere that you know, they work so hard and put billions of dollars to invest. You have all of the world's information and knowledge in your pocket, and you really are only funneled into like 4 or 5 apps that they want you to be funneled into.
Or which friends they want you to come into your feed, because occasionally I'm like going, I'm following 2,000 acquaintances, and 1,000 of those are public figures, and I'm only seeing 3 people's. Like, and I do this strategy to like make sure my accounts are active, where I just speed scroll and like a bunch of stuff, because so it shows I'm not just looking at the 3 accounts that are showing my face, I'm actively sharing and engaging
with all of your acquaintances. And saying, like, hey, I'm still alive and I still care about you. Yeah. That's hard,
and then also now that I'm with like hard. The sobriety, it's like, hey, I'm presentable.
Oh, wait, expand on that. What do you mean? Like,
because there's like time.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna grab a soda. Is it okay if I get up from the shot? Okay, I'll be right back. Would you like a soda while I'm up?
I'm all right. I'm good with just my water.
Good for you. I need a little bit of that caffeine, baby. And I have an anecdote that I learned about recently about caffeine that I'd like to share. But anyway,
so like I know that sometimes I'll be more quiet when I was going through it more. I would be more quiet on my social media, where like, hey, I'm just looking. I'm not trying to like. I don't want to be seen. I haven't posted in a while. Whereas there's times where if I post something fire on my story or like a good performance, I'm liking random people's stuff because I want them to be like, oh, what's he up to?
I want to funnel you back into
and then also like they might not check the views, but they'll get it if you viewed it, but they'll get a notification if you liked it. And especially if I've had a great set recently, or I'm putting out like a great clip from this, I'll do that. And then also just like, I've had this dating where people will look through my whole damn catalog before a first date. And that's weird, just where it's like, oh, you went back to my YouTube channel in 2019. Like,
oof, that was a long time ago. When you think about 2019, that was a whole other decade, a whole other era of our lives.
Oh, no, even farther than that. Someone commented, who I was talking to, she commented on a emo poem I did for Chester and Chris Cornell, like months.
Whoa, what?
And she's like, interesting poem, bye. And I was like,
I would love to. Do you have a copy of that?
I'll send you the link, but it's such an emo amazing poem because it was.
Is it a fanfic? Like,
no, it's a poem. The whole poem is to set the synopsis of the poem. Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington killed themselves in like 2-3 months of each other. And then the song was full of references to their work.
Right.
And just leave these guys alone.
Was it the same year, really?
Yeah, and they were buddies.
Oh, wow.
And that's where it was like, as someone who deals with suicidal ideation, I was so pissed off on how the discussion was going of, no, that's how bad depression is. That you can have everything. Beautiful wife, successful career, and what happened to you in the past is still going to be the reason you pull out yourself today. And
Robin Williams.
Yeah, and it was just a bit of like, hey, do not judge these people because you don't know what it's like to have every reason to be happy, and then your brain is still playing keep away. And then have their own, and then after all is said and done, just be like, it wasn't working out for me, and you're still like, how could they? They had so much to offer. To you? More music? No, they were tired.
Yeah.
And I did a bit about it more so geared towards Chester and Linkin Park because they were more like in the
because
collective consciousness, it was just the whole point of, hey, all these guys' lyrics and songs, a lot of them were cries for help, and then you're asking how could they? It's like, no, they were still crying for help, and with success and fame, they just got a little more quiet because they realized. They got the money they need to get by. They got the respect, but they don't have that internal peace. And that is another like weird thing
Steep.
I've been like as I'm like getting back into poetry, where it's like, oh yeah, the poem's heavy, but I'm cool. Like, I'm all right. I came to terms with it. Like, young Toledo was talking about where he's like, about dealing with that deliver a really sad poem. It's like, no, that was in the past. I'm good. That was just wanted to do a good poem anyway.
It's just a snapshot of time in your life.
Have you ever had those songs where you're like, okay, that was a super sad song, but that was in the past. The harmony's just amazing.
Yeah, no, I feel that way today about a lot of songs. That there are some songs even like I can't even listen to just because they make me cringe on how sad they are. But I'm also like, oh yeah, that takes me back to a time in my life where I really needed that. Totally. Young Toledo. There's a name I haven't heard in a while. Isaac. Has he been on the show?
In talks, I had his The Messiah, and we were talking about the Kill the Poet show in Long Beach, which was dope. Mattima, Fran, plenty of great others whose names I'm forgetting, but it was cool. The homies, nice. And it was cool seeing something that it wasn't palms up, it wasn't the usual, it was new homies starting their own thing, bringing the community together.
Who was I talking to? I was talking to Miko. This was a while ago now. But, in terms of branching out, he was like, well, do you want to start one big fire in one place? Or do you want to start, 100 tiny little fires all over the place? And that's what you got to do with your art, spread all those tiny fires. If you stay within the same clique, in the same space, then you're not going anywhere. It's just an echo chamber. So, little fires. Start little fires. And me, and that's really hard for me right now too, because I have all those reasons to just be like, I'm good, I'm chill. I've gotten the recognition and the praise, and like I knew I was good, and everyone can see that now. So like I'm I can just chill. But there's still a part of me that's just like, no, when's the next gig? When's the next song? When's the next release? So that fire will always be in you, whether you want to act on it or not. And, and there's a certain part for me personally too, where I'm just like, does this feel authentic to me right now? Am I authentically writing the song, or am I writing the song because I haven't released something in a year? You know what I mean? So
when your favorite band gets back together after 10 years to drop one single in a short tour, it's like, they needed the dough. That's not because they all of a sudden made up. It's...
Well, you brought up Chester, with Linkin Park, with that chick singer. I mean, I
haven't even listened to it. Yeah. And also when I heard, like, that she was downplaying, like, sexual assault stuff, I was just like, no, I've had other homies who've been the victims of that. And especially with, like, Chester being a victim of it himself, it's one of those things where, like, start a new band. Like, when Milo left the Descendants, they called it All. And...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was because he went to college, and they're like, hey, you're such a figure of this band, we're going to get beat up by
It's the voice. It's the voice of the band. You can't change the voice of the band.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we got Shinoda, but it's like, yeah, but...
He didn't belt the...
It was a duality between the two, and what you said about getting back out there, that's what has like inspired a lot of this, was just realizing like, oh, could be a ringer on the open mic scene here forever, trying to get gigs at that venue or on that show, but it's not gonna do much. Whereas through like social media and this, like, it's been fun connecting with people around the world. And during the fire, I was doing like little fire PSAs, and I ended up talking with a lot of people from Europe to get around the censorship and using like coded language on TikTok. And
what would they censor in Europe?
So they were censoring protests around they were protests against political corruption in Europe, and partially dealing with America, to address America and their own corruption. But like, if my anti-Nazi sticker on my skate helmet, I posted a photo of that got taken down.
Oh wow!
Even before the whole Trump TikTok thing, I reposted a video from an Irish football stadium of them waving Palestine flags, got taken down. So we were using the
Didn't
hashtag
stance at all,
cute winter boots. I was seeing that come up in the comments on my fire PSAs. And I was dispelling a lot of like information Trump was about California's hydrology because I'm a weather nerd. And that's where I was like,
oh, that was so fucking stupid. Oh, they just got to turn the faucets on.
Yeah, and having been in class with hydrologists and done like field research, I was like, okay, I want to take charge on this, and it ended up being one of my most like watched TikToks, but just doing that connection across social media, and like that wouldn't have happened on stage if I'm waiting for that sliver in the middle of a comedy set where you can actually talk about what you want to when you're not worried about your opener or your closer and you've a little bit of time to recover. And yeah, like that, I've had even like other disagreements with friends over the years of, no, I'm not trying to just do a good poem and try to get laid at the local open mic. I want to be
Although
heard.
that would be nice.
It would be nice, but then you get, we all know friends who've been doing the same sets for 5 years.
Yeah.
And just like, dude, when's the new song? Or like, that fuck Trump song was written in 2016. What else you got?
Well, you know, it's hard. I think it's harder for a comedian, right? Because you got to constantly come up with new shit, and you can't reuse jokes or else people aren't gonna laugh. And you know, it's the newness of the joke. Whereas with artists, you know, I am blessed to have a group of friends that love a certain amount, you know, certain songs that I've written where they're like, you got to play this one, you got to play that one. So in my mind, it's like, oh man, it's been 5 years. Are you sure you still want to hear that one? You know, like, I don't have anything new in the chamber for you right now, but sure, I could play this for you, but I don't want to be the one accused of playing it out. If you're requesting it, I'll play it, you know? And I think of bands / comedians like Flight of the Conchords, who kind of fell into that trap. It's like, you know, it's a song, so people want to hear the song over again. But if it's comedy, no one's going to laugh at the punchlines, you know, the more times they hear it, so.
Yeah, and I think that is an important part of being an artist and keeping it fresh, even as musicians. Like, I like hearing my favorite bands get better or express new ideas, and like even like Rise Against. I was like, where the fuck are you all? Mm-hmm. It's in your name.
They're laying low. They're not rising against, man.
Yeah, and I was just, I had someone in our community. I told them, I want to come out and support you, but if you do the same set again, I'm never seeing you perform again. And they did the same set, so it was like, okay, but that was like, hey, as your friend, as someone who's supporting you,
yeah,
I want you to make it worth my while, because I'm coming out here so you can do new material and I can hype it up, because it is scary doing new stuff.
Yeah.
It is terrifying. Like, I have plenty of jokes I wrote during the pandemic where it's like, hey, March to May of quarantine, these jokes were my best.
Like, that was like your golden...
I can't be like, hey, do you want to go back and pretend like it's between March and May of 2020 so that you can laugh hysterically at this Ted Cruz joke? Just like, can we rewind the clock a bit where this would be more relevant?
Oh yeah, didn't he like go take his like daughters like on a vacation or something
to Mexico while Texas was frozen?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, you know,
and he's like,
wanted to go.
And he's like, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it's funny because it's like, oh, so now you want the white people to go to Mexico?
Oh man.
All right, I finished a button.
Oh, wow.
We got some sponsors we're going to deal with, so we will be right back after this commercial break.
That's when...
Cool. So you're saying you feel like...
Okay, well, we're back from the break, everybody.
And we'll edit in
Okay, so I was saying, you were talking about how the people that you were with in the past and how you're so glad you're not in those situations anymore because you're not that same person anymore, because otherwise you would basically follow a path into doing the same shit, and you don't want to do the same shit over again. Did I summarize that enough? Okay. So my response to that is, well, dude, I've known you for the past 5 years. give or take. And when I first met you, I am not the same person I am today. And I went through a lot of personal growth within that time frame. And in a lot more ways, I can very confidently say in 2025, like I am a much more realized version of myself now, and I can't do the same thing over and over again anymore either. Yeah, for me personally, and for you, I will assume, I will be bold to say that it's not good to be stuck, man. It's not good to be stuck. It's okay to be comfortable, and it's okay to enjoy life and enjoy. If that's the way you enjoy your life, that's the way you enjoy your life. But if you sit down, at the end of the night, or you look at yourself in the mirror and you be real with yourself and say, "Are you happy with the way your life is?" And if not, maybe it's because you're doing the same shit too much, and you need to self-actualize a little. Now I feel preachy. Now I feel like I'm preaching a little bit. But that was where that tangent went. On this episode of SewBros. On this episode of SewBros.
Oh, I'm gonna have fun editing that. I like what you said about getting stuck. And I feel like sometimes people get stuck, but they view that as the success because they're comfortable, because it's predictable.
And there's validation in that too, as a family man myself.
Yeah, and there were times I looked at now where it's like, oh, I'm like, that was part of the reason I stopped doing music, was just I was so OCD. I didn't want to share anything till I got it perfect, and I would never get it perfect. Mm-hmm. Whereas with comedy, poetry, or podcasting, it's cool, it's done, get on with it, don't overproduce it.
Yep.
Because there are limitations.
That's what burns me out about producing music, because I need everything to be perfect, and I need everything to sound good, and I need that inner voice in my mind that is the artist, the ever perfectionist, to be like, it's not good enough, it's not good enough, it's not good enough, until it is good enough. But if I do that, it drains my life force, and it just, you know what I mean? So I'm realizing now that I can only use it on things that I really, 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 truly feel passionate about. So if I'm not feeling passionate about something, I won't do it. Nowadays.
Dan Carlin, on his podcast Common Sense, said this great line. He goes, "My favorite project is the next project because I haven't screwed it up already."
Oh, that too. Whoa, yeah. Because you could, as a man with OCD, I'm sure you could fixate on it, right? And all the things that you want to, that sound terrible to you, that maybe only you notice. I don't know. Have you ever tried to record your own music? Tell me about...
Yeah, I'll show you my SoundCloud later.
Oh my God. I would love that.
Late at night, when I'm trying to rest, occasionally I'll think about my vest on my cosplay, and if I could have gotten it more accurate.
Is that a line from your song?
No, that is stuff I think about in that, it'll be late at night. I should be going to sleep. Should I repaint my shield? Should I redo the color on my cosplay? This is what OCD is.
But you know what? It's nice that you have the time to do that, I have to fend for 2 little children that would die if I wasn't around. So in my mind, I'm like, at least I'm distracted. And I have but sometimes I do wish that I had more time to just sit down and play my guitar too, so it's all phases and seasons and stages of your life, right? So enjoy this stage now, because before you know it, you're going to be like, man, remember when I had that place off of Franklin and I had all this free time and I was painting my shields? That was the life, man. And I was doing my podcast in my little studio, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'm telling that to a reporter in a jail cell because I said Free Palestine one too many times.
Oh, well. I mean, yeah, that's one of many very possible possibilities, yeah.
There's a great book that just came out from the lead singer of Bad Religion called The Punk Paradox,
mm-hmm.
and he talks about juggling family life and being a musician and academic.
It's hard, man.
You should check it out, because he was talking about times where he has to be a parent, but he wants to go down to his basement and just make music, or the struggle of doing artist stuff and then having to be back in the middle of a family that already has routines and habits that you aren't aware of.
You know what? That too. Like there, like that. I empathize with all of that in terms of just the balance of your family and your art and when the muse strikes, right? When the muse strikes, and sometimes there's a diaper that needs to be changed and the muse is striked. Like, well, the muse ain't waiting around, but the diaper needs to be changed. So yeah, that it sucks. But oh man, I lost my train of thought. I had a heater, but I forgot it. So anyway,
no, that is real. Like when the muse does strike, because when I'm working all day, I'm foaming at the mouth to create, and then the work day ends, but I don't have the fuel. And that's where I have to get very creative. Like, okay, since I can't build or sew anything because I'm out of gas, but I can write, educate, and do some language lessons so I can at least give my brain more tools so when I do have the energy. But,
yeah.
Because I see the creators and people who do it full time, and I'm like, you have a social media person, don't you? Because that's like the little things as an artist where I'm like, I wish I had a social media person so I could get back to being creative rather than doing my own marketing
100%.
for the creativity.
100%. That's the thing. It's like not only do you have to be an artist these days. I mean, people have been saying it now so much that it's like beating a dead horse. But there are artists and there are people that are savvy with social media. And if you try to be both, at least in my personal experience, it ain't gonna work out. You burn out quick because you don't know how to keep ahead of it, and that goes back to me as an artist just always wanting to be authentic, and I think about artists that I've enjoyed in the past. One that really comes to mind right now is Elliott Smith, who he was just an authentic dude, and he didn't care about anything. He happened to get lucky and people liked his music, and he didn't change who he was, and he died too young. But I just want to be authentic, and I don't want to have to worry about the internet or the algorithms telling me that I'm not producing things fast enough. Because if I just blurt it all out, then it's not going to be as good as I know it could be. And then why even do it? That's how I feel.
Exactly. I feel like there's so much pressure now. It's just quantity over quality, so you stay in people's front of mind when they're searching and liking, and it's hard now because it's just you're not only competing with other artists, you're competing with people who don't have a job, who are using AI in various components. So, and especially like someone like you as a musician.
God, AI too, man. They're taking the artistry. They're taking the soul out of it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and like the social media stuff, the tech stuff for the podcast eats up more time and energy than the actual sewing. And you're wearing a lot of hats, and then on top of that finding the energy to go out and network, and it's just...
And I'm an introvert. I don't want to network. I don't want to talk to people. Like, if you like my music, come talk to me. Cool. But I don't expect me to walk across the room and go, "Hi, I'm DJ Basco. It's nice to meet you."
That's why I wear silly outfits, so people are intrigued by me and talk to me. Like,
that's
dress the loudest, be the quietest.
You're peacocking. I see. That's your move. I love it. So yeah.
So, what artists have you been listening to, music-wise? Like, who have you had in circulation?
It's whatever my kids are listening to right now. So, with Delaney, it's just a lot of Miss Rachel. So, she's like a 1.5-year-old. So
Miss Rachel's pro-Palestine. It's cool.
She's cool, yeah. Miss Rachel's cool. And she just had a baby. Shout out Miss Rachel if you happen to be listening to the SewBroPodcast. But you know what's really blowing my mind is my son Benji, who's 12, gonna be 13 pretty soon. In middle school, has just started his musical journey into figuring out what he likes, and I think he has a little bit of OCD and ADHD myself personally, and so he fixates and he has made a playlist, but he's listening to everything from J-pop to jazz he's really into the old band Electric Light Orchestra right now. Why do you think that's funny? I'm glad you think that's funny.
No, just as a record store geek, that's
Yeah.
like that's a band you come across because an uncle or a cousin or a record store.
Yep. And his favorite song right now, it's always stuck in my head because he always plays it. And I could have never told you the name of the band was called Starship, but he really loves that song, We Built This City on Rock and Roll, and he plays it all the time. We built this city on rock. Oh, no, I don't want to sing too much of it or else you'll have to pay for the rights, but you know the song I'm talking about. So that's what I'm listening to lately, is just a lot of classic rock, which has gotten me actually into getting back into the band America, because America has a lot of great hits, like The Horse with No Name and Ventura Highway, and I really like those licks, those acoustic licks, which is kind of what I try to replicate sometimes in my own acoustic music. So, but that's more old stuff. New stuff, it's true what they say, Shannon, and I would love to hear from you, because you're like 5 years younger than I am, right?
Yeah, 27.
Oh my God, no, you're way younger than I am. So, that being said, as an older generational person, there's a saying that you stop listening to new music after a certain point in your life because it all starts to sound the same, and then you become the curmudgeonly old person who goes, oh, it wasn't as good as it was back when I was a kid. Do you feel that happening to you, or do you still find the same excitement discovering new music? Does it still titillate you in the same way?
That's a good question. So does it count if some of the new music I'm discovering is from the era I liked music? Because I'm still learning about artists from like the mid and early 2000s where I'm like, where was...
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, as long as it's new to you. Are you still being able to connect to me? Because that's the thing. I'm actually glad you brought that up as well. Because I'm finding, even though I'll find something that sounds like something from the early to mid 2000s, or something that I had never heard of before, in my mind, it's all starting to sound the same. If we're talking about like specific genres, where I'm not titillated the same way, because I've heard those notes before, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. I see, I actually haven't, so a lot of the last years, the genre I listened to most was folk punk. And I really discovered that, college to even now I'm still discovering, but that was, peak 2016 to 2023 was my peak folk punk. Mm-hmm. And then this whole year, I've been listening to hip hop the most.
Whoa, Kendrick, okay.
No, not even Kendrick. So I always liked fringe underground hip hop, like Fort Minor and Cypress Hill.
Okay.
Here
related
and there.
To Linkin Park, got it.
And okay. Linkin Park, yeah. So, but then recently, Kneecap, the Irish rappers, got me back into it. And not only that, I liked hip hop, but I wasn't listening to it where I had a separate playlist I listened to frequently. I had a hip hop playlist in case I was hanging out with people who liked hip hop and I wanted to play hip hop.
Smart. Oh, that's so smart.
So it was mostly early 2000s, that kind of stuff. But it was very basic. Whereas now I've been listening to Kneecap albums in full regularly. As far as Dead Prez, listening to him a lot, and then have you heard of a band of rappers named? The guy's name is Name, Buddha, and Time. They just put out an album called Wars Within Wars. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite albums, and but because
I'm gonna play that next.
So, and I think it's Time as the guy. He has this great line about, because there's a lot of references to Palestine and Ireland in tandem throughout their songs, and I was like, huh. And then in the middle of the album, there's this line, I'm not even going to try to quote it, but the gist is how messed up it is being an Irish person in America because your ancestors were colonized, and then you grow up acting like a colonizer, inflicting the same trauma that your ancestors felt on other people, and just the fucked up dynamic of the erasure and then the joining in on it. And he said it so eloquently with such a groove. I was just like, this is the discussions every Irish family needs to have in America. And then he even goes into, like, I don't even know the language, and then references a lot of the, like, worshiping the solstice, dancing under this, and just digging into the diaspora beyond the modern political struggles of the nation state, because digging into the theology of the diaspora with, like, reconnecting with the language and the pagan cultures is a lot of the work I have been doing in my own research. So hearing someone rap with such flow and rhythm, but from the American perspective, and then having that to balance out...
Are they white?
One of the guys, I don't know if he's white, but I know he's Irish.
Okay.
Because
so he's... Okay.
So you're implying that, but there's plenty of black people who are more Irish than me.
Okay. I understand.
You get what I mean?
I get that. There are black Irish people, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and they are more Irish than me.
Okay.
And I have no problem...
I'm sure there are Filipino Irish people.
I mean, the way our communities vibe, it's like, how long are we waiting here? Like, what are you trying to say, camping?
No, that's cool.
Che Guevara was part Irish.
Was he really?
Does that not explain so much?
You know what that makes me think of is, have you ever seen, of course you have, but have you ever seen Gangs of New York?
No, not in full.
Oh, okay. Well, like, a big trope of that is, like, the natives, the Americans would call themselves the natives, and they would shit on all the Irish people coming off the boats to work in New York, because they would come and unload in New York, and they would be throwing cabbage at them, and racial slurs, and they really hated the Irish, and that's what the Irishman had to go through in the time of Lincoln.
And then some Irish people were taking notes and going, this is how you welcome people? Got it.
We're going to do the same. We're going to put a stronghold here for the next 3 or 4 generations, and then we're going to say, we're from here, and you took our jobs. But yeah, it's getting increasingly hard, I would say, to be proud to be American lately. And Debbie and I are thinking about, if shit still hits the fan once my eldest son turns 18, and that's, 5 short years away, then we're moving to Canada, man. If it hasn't become the 51st state yet, we're moving to Canada.
That's a question I was going to ask. What country are you fleeing to? So, Canada.
I think Canada would be the most accessible, only because we'd still be on the continent, and I love the Pacific Northwest, and what gives Northwest vibes more than the Great White North, if you will. Plus, they speak English, and
some of them, like,
oh no, like, okay, well, I'm not.
You got French and indigenous languages.
I'm not moving to Montreal. I'm not saying that we're gonna go to like the French encroached parts, but Vancouver would be fine. That's a quick car ride down to Seattle. But I mean, if money weren't an option and I could move my family anywhere, that's a good question. Somewhere in Europe, I guess, because Europe is nice. But apparently in England, they don't like Filipino people. I've heard, allegedly. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd be comfortable with that. I would love...
How I describe the situation with the English is, the Irish look damn near exactly like them, and look what they did to us.
Yeah.
Y'all look different. What do you think they're gonna...
Yeah, that's true. But
they're listening for octaves and looking for freckles in terms of their discrimination.
Wait, what do you mean by octaves? Like how high a person's voice goes? I don't understand.
So there were many accounts. This is a story I heard out of the when the IRA was active in Ireland. Mm-hmm. Is that people would mask their accents to pretend to be British or Irish and vice versa.
Oh.
And it would sometimes be a life or death situation on if you identified as English or Irish.
Oh, that's interesting.
And because
And it would be easy to code switch. If
Yeah, like there was
used
this one
dialects.
incident where these IRA... There was a story I heard. I haven't... But these IRA guys stormed a bus, but they had British accents. And there were British, like, armed groups. And they go, who here on this bus is Irish? And it was it was like a bus transporting workers, and it was mixed. And one guy stood up and was going to say he was Irish, and his coworkers go, "Don't! They're going to kill you if they know there's a Irishman on this bus." One guy raises his hand. The guys switch their voices, and go, "Great!" Revealing that they have Irish accents, and gun every other dude down.
Dang.
So, and that's where, like,
The fuck?
how,
man?
when you look so much alike that it's like really just
That's wild.
that, or that, like, where the Irish rap group gets their names from is if you were speaking Gaeilge in British custody, they would break your knees.
Even today?
No, that, hopefully not, but that's how, during when the so Northern Ireland, a third of the country is still occupied, but at the height of, like, the occupation and the repression, that was one of the things they did to disincentivize people from speaking our native language, was by breaking your knees if you were speaking it in custody.
Jesus Christ, man.
So that, and then that's what the...
And they want reunification? Come on, man.
Yeah, so I... Don't get me wrong, I've met plenty of cool English people. I just... Are you talking about, like, the collective institutions or the general populace? Because the...
The institutions.
Yeah, I mean, Europe's letting people from Africa drown in the Mediterranean because they don't want them. But also, I think an educated American, they might be a little more open to. Like, this is another question I want to ask. What are your thoughts on the fascism going on?
I'm gonna open my statement with a question, a funny question. I wonder how Ariel feels about buying that Tesla right now. You might have to cut that part out.
If you stop it at that, we don't have to.
Okay, all right, moving right along. It's a beautiful car though, but yeah, I couldn't do it now. My wife and I were like both like used to opine about like how Teslas were the new Prius of this generation. If you got a Tesla, that's class, and they're so cool, and blah blah blah. And then all of the Donald Trump and fascism stuff happened, and it's just like you cannot deny that man did not do a Nazi salute. Teslas they completely turned me off now, and I have close friends that drive Teslas, who maybe want to be blind to the fact that the fascist part is real, but they're like, oh, I don't know what people are so up in arms about. Like, it's my car. Like, I bought it before he went crazy. But it's still about, like, where your money's going to and what they represent. And, you know, to each their own. But I for that reason, will get a different type of EV. When I can financially afford to do that, that will be what I will do. But in terms of the rest of the fascism, I'm tripping out about the fact that we have had Trump on the ballot 3 times now. I'm tripping out about the fact that within the whole relationship I've had with my wife and within most of my kids' lives now, Donald Trump will have been the president. And we have to wake up every day to ridiculous nonsense and news about what he's doing and how he's tearing our country apart. And it sucks, man, and it really makes me want to just tune out and just focus on what I can control and focus on the happiness that I can create around myself. But even that's hard when he's fucking with the financial institutions that deal with our 401k. And when I see that fluctuating, that gives me more anxiety, because it's like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, you know, I don't, there's no way to tune it all out, and it drives me nuts. And I'm so glad that I am back on my medication, and my medication is working. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about, too, is the fact that being really, really stringent on taking my pill every day, it's made me able to get through life in a much more managed way, so that every feeling I feel at all parts of the day don't feel like sharp pin needles that make me need to act, but instead everything's very blunted. And because everything's very blunted, and that might sound negative, but because everything is blunted, it's like, oh, you can make a more informed decision and choice that might be better for you, than just feeling it really hard.
I like how you put that, blunted, because that's, especially when you're an artist and and you being a family person, you're thinking about your art and your expression. You're more in tune with your emotions, and you have more tools to express the higher points. And then you're worrying about your family now on that level. It's a lot. And the way I view just kind of responsibly blunting the world is it helps me engage in heavier discussions because I'm not getting caught up on my way down into these deeper topics.
Now, how are you responsibly blunting, if I may ask? Like, are you saying medication as well, or are you saying...
Like, not with blunts, but with cannabis in different forms.
Okay, yes, of course.
Like, but...
Blunting.
But just being very responsible and about it, not overdoing it. Like, I primarily do it when my anxiety becomes unmanageably high.
Smart.
And I know, like, I deal with manic depression, so just because I'm good for a few hours being creative, I may have a huge drop-off afterward. And it helps me, and then also, I'm a lifelong insomniac, so turning my brain off. My 15-pound weighted blanket's right there. You can give a feel of the sarcophagus I sleep under.
I would, actually. Nice. Oh, wow. Cool.
So, it is a tool, much like my weighted blanket, to get me to stay down.
I feel like I'm more in frame if I sit right in the middle. Haha!
So, that's kind of how I responsibly blunt it, but it's very, like, there are times where I want to do more, but knowing, like, hey, do I need it for this or that?
Yeah.
And like, I'm almost 2 years sober from alcohol now, so just going, hey, let's just see if I can do a little bit less. Just a little bit. And then also trying to, whenever I'm cutting back, that means, like, usually I'm filling it with a hobby to drain that energy, to take my mind off of it. And I have to be very emotionally aware, but it works for me. And reminding myself, it's like, hey, these are the priorities. Anxiety, insomnia, and also to stimulate appetite, because a part of, like, dealing with severe depression is my appetite is fucked up all the time. And there's times where I do need to eat, but I know my brain's default coping mechanism is stay busy. So giving myself that permission to sit down, rest.
Eating is something, though. Eating is doing something. Cooking is doing something. You could stay busy by cooking, and then cleaning up after yourself is staying busy.
Dude, the lengths I go to, like, this is kind of the fun I have being a single artist, is just going, how little can I get by on just in the name of laziness, productivity, being eco-friendly, and it frees me up more time to be creative. And also, it's just, I do like cooking, but I like saving it when I'm with people, because again, like, if I'm with someone, I'm more incentivized to make sure the meal tastes as good as possible, whereas with me, it's just like, come on, Rorschach, eat those beans out of that can.
Oh, man, I understand. I see you and I understand. But let me open you to this possibility here, okay? When you're hungry and you don't got a lot and you need to eat that ramen, hey, it gets the job done, right? It's easy as warming it up and eating it, and you're good. But if you just learn how to, like, cook a little bit or expand your palate a little bit when you're alone, it can be a little trick up your sleeve, like, to impress a girl, you know? Like, oh, have you ever tried this? I make a great this. You got to come over to my place so I can whip you up some of this. And it's not because you went to the store one time and whipped it up and maybe she'll like it, maybe she won't. It's because you took the time to practice. 10,000 hours. It takes 10,000 hours to be good at anything. I'm not saying you have to learn how to make spaghetti for 10,000 hours, but if you do it for yourself enough times where you're like, this is really good, it may give you the confidence to do it for yourself more, because it's good for you in terms of keeping busy. But then also you could share that with someone special later as an incentive. Like, oh, Shannon can make a really good that.
I see where you're going with this, and I agree. And I do know how to cook good meals. I just don't always choose to.
Understood.
And kind of what we were talking about before, like, I'm my own PR tech guy,
Oh, yeah.
prop master, tailor, and
then why are you so worried about being busy all the time?
I liked what you said about the Teslas because, like, I hated Tesla for I hated Tesla's and Elon Musk because they ruined Twitter. Like, Twitter getting messed up is why I went to Reddit.
Oh, I've always been on Reddit. I love Reddit. I'll get lost on Reddit all day.
And I was mad about that, and then also just I've never seen a Tesla and be like, wow, that person's driving really responsibly.
I try not to look at them at all.
And
unless it's a Cybertruck and I have to look at it because they look ridiculous.
And I think I saw a meme where it was like someone posted that like this like biblical drawing of someone smearing blood over their doorway, and it's like an anti-Elon sticker on a Tesla.
Nah.
Like, yeah, and I think Tesla owners, when I looked at all the cameras on a Tesla, they were designed knowing people were going to hate them. Why else do you put that much recordability on a vehicle unless you're almost certain it's going to get
vandalized?
Ransacked. Like, that is Elon knew people were going to hate Tesla owners.
I didn't think about it that way. That's true. I didn't think about it that way. Please expand on that.
Why else would you put that much? It's partially because they have terrible view sighting at the windows, but also it's like, why are those cameras running on motion sensors? Like,
because it's just a cool thing, I think. I'm a geek and I want my car to do all the things.
Well, great. Make the batteries not burn or advertise as much. Like, they put in all these features to catch vandalism. You should have been focusing on fulfilling what you promised people.
A car that goes.
But I think, and I think it's there you go, camera, one for this. Vandalism is bad. Don't do it.
Very bad.
Anyway.
Don't do it. I'm gonna get another Coke. 1 second. I need the caffeine.
They're doing Coke on the podcast.
Yeah, we are. I learned from Vince that caffeine helps people with ADHD.
Oh yeah, I drink a ton of it in the morning.
And I want to get Benji on. I don't want him to drink caffeine specifically, but I want to turn him on to drinking black coffee, but he doesn't like it because it tastes bad. He's like, why can't I just drink soda? I'm like, you can't drink soda first thing in the. Oh, I mean, you're doing it. You're an adult.
Mix it with a ton of creamer so much that it's more milk than coffee, and then
tried that he can still taste it. Right now, how I got around it is we're buying coffee flavored ice cream. The kid loves ice cream. He's not going to say no even if it's coffee flavored. So that's how I'm slowly.
I like that you're like.
You got to be smart. Got to be quick.
I remember as a kid, someone was like, "Yeah, you should have this Red Bull," and it smelled terrible. And I'm like, "This thing makes people very hyperactive," and I knew I had ADHD. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea.
And apparently, it is a good idea.
Well, for me, like a bit of the like caffeine stimulation is that I never sleep 8 hours. Rarely, even then it's not deep.
Mm-hmm.
So
that sucks.
Oh yeah, but it's also so I'm dealing with a bit of like zombie brain in the mornings, and then also like that I'm fatigued emotionally from just the bouts of depression, and then with everything happening in the world, and that's where it's like,
bro, tell me about it.
It's helps me like get the energy when I'm the nihilist in me. We don't need to do anything. Like,
be silent, be still.
Well, and then this is also the part of like not having like family or kids where you're just like, you got to be your own. Get the fuck out of bed and get off.
Yeah, I will say, I'm not recommending this for everybody, but for some people, you do just need to create a smaller version of yourself that you are legally, you need to take care of this thing or you will go to jail, or bad things will happen to you, and and then it's cute and it looks like you. But when I had a kid, that was my kick in the pants to go, nope, can't be stupid anymore. Can't just wallow in my bed all day anymore. Like I have shit to do. So that sometimes works for people. But I don't recommend it for everybody. So. Do you talk about what you're sewing, by the way?
Only if people ask. Like, we got, like, with another guest, Kamal was mid-rant and then goes, have you been sewing this whole time? So this is the
Kamal from San Pedro, Kamal?
No.
That's Kamal, sorry.
No, he goes by Atlas, but... So this is the tunic for my cosplay, that the helmet and that other parts I've told you about are in the works.
Did you make the helmet?
No.
Oh.
Sadly, I do not have metallurgy skills yet.
I was...
But that's why I'm taking off these plastic buttons and sewing metal ones so it looks more authentic, because I'm doing them... Depending on how technical you want to get with it and what references you're using, I was going ancient, but it looks like a medieval... Irish kilt, so yeah,
that's cool, man.
Honoring the ancestors, trying to.
And you're doing that by hand. Do you have a sewing machine? Do you do sewing machines too?
I have a few sewing machines from friends I borrowed, just because there's not room for it here, and also the thread that works best with most sewing machines is polyester thread, and polyester synthetic, and a part of my eco-friendliness is that I'm using scrap fabric for larger pieces, cotton thread, so even my scraps are biodegrading.
Good for you, man.
And then also I like the sewing by hand because the machine would eat up the microphone.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not saying do
and
it
wouldn't
on the
be,
pod, but I'm saying do you have the tool if you need to use it?
I have access to them if I need, but it's especially for something like this, the way the buttons are, it's easier to do it by hand.
See, I know nothing about sewing, so that's the thing. So once you do it by hand, you don't have to go over it with a machine.
No,
you're confident in your sewing capabilities. That's going to stay there.
Yeah, and a machine's really only good if you're trying to bind fabric on a flat surface. Mm-hmm. So if I'm sewing stuff for a jacket or a pouch, and I have to go under a pocket, that's got to be by hand, or this where I have to go at an angle. It's only good if you're doing flat, because the thread's going down and getting
caught back up, picked back up.
Yeah, and it's sealing those two pieces together.
I see.
Whereas this, I can go around curves but it's easy to make mistakes on.
That would be my fear,
because the sewing machine, this is a pistol where I'm single shotting, everything's out. The first time I used a sewing machine, it felt like I was using a Gatling gun. It was and I'm like, yeah, and trying to keep it going in a straight line.
That's magic and wizardry that I could never grasp. That and skateboarding, I could never. I have bad balance, and I am not good with minute skilled work. But when it comes to writing a song or picking up something by ear, I got some great gifts in that aspect that are even harder to make money off of.
I'm not good at skating. Do not let the aesthetic fool you. I just enjoy it.
I like
the music,
yeah.
But I'm I don't know any tricks that are respectable, but I have fun trying and hurting myself.
Are you afraid that you'll be out there with your skateboard and someone out in the wild will be like, "Hey, do a kickflip"?
Oh, I haven't heard that. Oh, every dipshit who sees a skater. Well, that's the thing I love about why I have so much respect for skateboarding is it's so hard. It is so hard. Even landing an ollie is incredibly difficult. Whereas other sports, it's you can fuck up and make a basket. You can fuck up and hit the ball. You can't fuck up and land an ollie right. Mm-hmm. Or have you ever seen
those kill yourself?
Yeah. Have you seen downhill skaters who power slide?
That's what those wheels are for, man. Those big fatties right there.
Okay, so the shark wheels, they're great for cruising, but I'm sure...
You don't power slide on those, no.
You could?
I'm talking about those right there. Those like 78s.
Oh, yeah,
those
yeah.
Are. Yeah.
Yeah, that is, on that drop through. But, like, downhill skating and stuff like that, again, you mess up, you're... like...
You're dead.
You're not dead, or you're going to be so sore at certain times you might wish you were. And that's why I love watching skaters, because you got to be a little bit crazy to do it. Even with padding, it's just like, cool. The rest of you is going to really, really...
pay for this.
Oh, I got scars up and down my body skating. I call them pavement tattoos.
These two teeth are cubic zirconia from skating. From
Sorry,
running the skateboard for less
camera.
than... These two teeth here, right here, my two front teeth, cubic zirconia. I got a skateboard, and less than 24 hours later, I had knocked my teeth out. And then, it's been a love-hate relationship with skateboarding ever since. It's been one of the things that I've always been passionate about that I wish I could do, but I can't. No matter how hard I try. Ooh, I hear a pigeon outside.
Yeah, they
cool.
like the trees.
That's cool.
So, how long have you been doing music for?
Ever since I could remember, I've always wanted to play guitar, and I've always wanted to be a musician. I think I have a very distinct memory when I was like 4 or 5, and we went to LAX to go pick up a relative or something, and I think my grandma or somebody, one of my uncles, had asked me, like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to play guitar. I don't know if I was serious at 4 or 5, but, when I became a teenager and I used guitar as a way to express myself and figure the world out, and my long history and my long journey with guitar up until today, So, to answer a really simple question with a long novel, I started playing when I was, like, in earnest. I started learning how to play when I was, like, 11 or 12. Because that's when I was living at the time with my stepdad's stepdad, and he played guitar, and he taught me how to play guitar, at least the simple chords. And he was like a really good like jazz player. He knew all those crazy jazz chords and stuff, and he was really playing like that, and that's the music that spoke to him and how he wanted to play. And I think that it's really cool music. I was never, at that point in my life anyway, I couldn't grasp those shapes. So but yeah, and then I would say I got really good at guitar, or I got really good at what I knew how to do on guitar, maybe like, I would say 3-4 years ago, when I was finally like, oh, I know what the fuck I'm doing now. I can, I don't need to be Slash. I could just do my cool shit. So, I've told myself ever since I was a kid, and especially through my 20s when I was down about like, oh man, I suck. Like, I can't even really play. It's a lifelong relationship and journey that I have with my craft, and specifically with the guitar and songwriting. That if I'm not where I want to be now, I will be if I just keep picking it up and I keep playing it and I keep stretching that muscle and I don't let it atrophy. Yeah.
I liked what you said about that moment you realized you don't want to be Slash, you just want to be you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That is such a freeing moment as an artist, and some people never find it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're chasing to be like this person as far as success, and you think you may have to go the same route, but then you realize, like, no, I like doing my stuff, I like being me, I like expressing what I can express rather than what they are. Because I feel like I discovered that recently, like through podcasting and cosplaying, where it's like, oh, I love these comedians, I love these poets, and I love these other thinkers and writers, but I like how I can blend it in my own way.
What is your what are your dreams for this for SewBros? Like, what do you hope to accomplish? Because what this is episode 4?
This is going to be 5.
Okay.
I want to steal Joe Rogan's audience.
All right.
Like, I was a huge Joe Rogan fan. I saw him perform at the Comedy Store twice, and
now
I thought, just as someone who is wrestling with masculinity, their masculinity and traumas, and then seeing someone who's muscular. He would have on these writers.
He was Fear Factor, man.
Yeah, but what really had, like, when he would have on historians and scientists, where it's like,
Neil deGrasse.
yeah,
you got
where
Neil
I'm like,
deGrasse on that.
oh, I'm also a stoner, bro-y guy who's into tattoos and, like, the
And he
art
went
of
off
warfare.
the deep end.
The art of warfare, and then talking to historians. I like that dynamic. But then he went so far right, and and just as someone who cares deeply about the women and trans people in their community, I didn't see him calling out enough, and I saw him enabling and giving space for people who were a part of the problem and not calling them out on it like a man should. When
Theo
people,
Von.
Well, Theo Von at least.
Theo Von.
I get it? No. But and then also just with goals of, I like sewing. Because I was doing comedy and because I was organizing, I didn't have as much time to sew as I would like. And normally when I was sewing, I was listening to podcasts, and it's like, oh, I just wish I could talk to someone while I do this. And I was thinking back in like the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and before, tailors, like, a lot of dudes were tailors. Dudes like working with our hands. And then also, like, in the 20s and 30s, you see all these dudes chain smoking while sewing, and I'm like,
you know what I think you should do?
You're smoking, you're chain smoking and sewing. I like.
How cool is that?
Yeah, like, and you're doing it with your bros. That, like, what a trifecta of. So that's where I was like, hey, let me try to do this. And I'm not going to force anyone to sew. I'm not going to, but just, if you're interested, yeah, I'll tell you what I'm doing. And I have the supplies, or if anyone on the show wanted to be like, hey, I want to sew something, cool. And opening up of, hey, I want to talk to people, let me do my thing. And it's just blending my favorite things and hoping I can share the high points of discussions, because I know people aren't really watching full episodes. Mm-hmm. They're watching the shorts. And if I can share the peak of a energy, of a moment, of a...
Oh, you can cut this up into a bunch of shorts.
Yeah, and then just like, hey, because I always notice the deep moments and philosophical stuff that happens when you least expect it.
That's you're like, shut the fuck up, I gotta push record.
Yeah, because... and I wanted to capture that as best as I could.
Well, you know what I think? I think that's great. What I think you should do is you should get another camera, and you should focus it right on the sewing, on your hands, and have that be like part of the screen. You know how like they always have something grabbing your attention on the bottom, like doing something crazy while they're trying to tell you whatever the meme is about, or you know, like the reel is about. Because the geek in me too would love to A, know what you're doing, and then B, follow along. That would give me incentive to watch the next SewBros, is because I want to be like, oh, how did those brass buttons turn out? You know, how did the whole outfit turn out eventually? I would love to go on that journey with you too. That would give people reason to see the next episode, if they were interested in it.
Well, yeah, I like that you brought that up. So for those of you following, I'm sewing the same parts on the buttons because the last episode, the buttons I sewed were too big, and I didn't want to break these button hooks because I was like barely squeezing them on.
Oh, that sucks.
But hey, that was the thing that I realized after. I'm like, oh, they're too big. I'm sure you're familiar with big things not fitting in small places.
Oh, all the time.
And all the pieces I've been working on so far on the show are for my next cosplay, so I'm gonna be wearing that at the Renaissance Fair at the end of August
in Irwindale.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And then also, because it has to do with my heritage, I'm going to be going to an Irish music festival in, where is it, Torrance, and I'm going to be wearing it there to show people, like, hey, this is what we used to look like. And
at that, like, German village?
I don't know. I got to look up the address, but there's an Irish festival in Torrance, and I was like, cool. Hey, let me go see, like, and be one of the fun...
Why would there be an Irish fest at a German village? You're an idiot. I'm an idiot.
It feels like a trap.
It feels like that's where you would host something, like at an Oktoberfest type of place.
Well, that's the closest LA can do.
Yeah, that's the closest LA can do. So, that's cool, man. That's cool. I support this. I'm glad I got to be on the pod today and experience this. I'm not saying it's over. I'm just saying I'm glad that I got to do this and have a nice, like, couple hour deep conversation with my friend that I don't get to see very often because life is busy, man.
Yeah, we're both busy artists, and you got your family, and it's like, it always, like, what was it like being far away knowing LA was burning? Because that was, even though I consider you, like, in the community, you're some distance away.
I am now, yeah, and that was strategic. LA was burning, and that sucked because I knew so many people that were affected by the fires. But it's not like it was all roses where I am. I'm only really 40 miles away, which is quite the schlep. However, we were dealing with high winds, the Santa Anas, and the Santa Anas were blowing trees into people's houses and blowing down our neighbors' fences. Luckily, nothing really serious happened at my house. But at the same time, with wind comes fire, so we were on high alert too, even where we were, because we live right off the foot of a mountain, off of the San Gabriel mountain range there, so there's a lot of dry brush and houses to be burned. So luckily nothing serious happened around me, but we did not escape carnage during that same time, during the fires. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like as an artist, the fires changed me just with organizing, reconnecting with the community, and then feeling like a sense of stewardship over my community. And then...
Did you have to get evacuated from here? No.
So the closest I got to evacuating is a few blocks away, the 101.
Mm-hmm.
That was the evacuation line. And a friend of mine who lives next to the freeway had to evacuate. They were out of town, but he was asking me, is my apartment still there? Because that Runyon fire sprang up right near it, and I was on the Trebek trailhead 30 minutes before, and that's right next to it. Like,
oh, wow.
But then I went to Studio City because a relative of mine who lived in Santa Monica...
So you went more north. Okay.
I went more north because I was checking in on a relative of mine who had evacuated from Santa Monica.
Oh, shit.
So I was, like, making sure they were okay, and then as I'm in Studio City, making sure the Santa Monica relative is okay, Runyon catches, and then I'm worrying about my apartment. And
that's crazy.
And then I drove through Beverly Hills, scenic route, to get through to Hollywood, because if worse came to worse, I wanted to grab a few things, but also help out however I could. And by the time I got back, the fire was... The biggest parts were out. There were still a few flames, but I hopped on my longboard and skated 3 miles to see the last few flames get put out, and the whole way I skated, it was smoke-filled streets.
And you skated through it, huh? That's crazy.
Dude, it was surreal. And then, dude, wow.
Did you take video of it at all?
Oh, yeah, I was...
Of course.
Because I was... Also, that was my... After work, I would go to the hills and film. That was my routine, with my car packed full of my stuff. Because after the Runyon fire, I just left every morning with my essentials packed. And when you're single, it was like cosplay, laptop.
I love how the first thing was cosplay, by the way. When you're single,
cosplay,
only the essentials.
Cosplay, longboard, laptop. Like, because that was my thing. I had this scenario in my head that I was going to get trapped. Like, I was going to have to ditch my car. And then I was going to have to, like, leave my cosplay behind. And then I was going to take off my regular clothes, leave them, and then I would be dealing with the aftermath of the fire in my Hokage cosplay. And I love just the idea that they'd be like, that they abandoned their cars. Is there anyone still left? And then out of the smoke walks me with my headband on, cloak, smoke billowing behind me.
So not only did you have time to escape and pack, you also found some time to change into your cosplay so
as the fire's approaching.
Yeah, nice.
Like, that was the scenario in my head that I was gonna have to make that choice, and then some firemen were gonna see the Hokage come out of a...
This is all wasted if you don't also set up a camera to capture this moment for yourself.
Yeah, the camera was in my head, and the audience of inner monologues loved it. But yeah, and I was realizing, like, oh, I'm lucky. I can take my favorite stuff.
Fuck yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so it's been a while since I was a single guy and I didn't have a lot of stuff, right? So as I told you when we were out here in your walkway area, I was like, this is giving me vibes of my first apartment in LA. And it was literally something cute like this. and I remember Ari coming over to visit because she wanted to record something with me at that time. This was like 2010. And she's like, wow, you really don't have a lot of stuff, do you? No, because I was a young person who was just starting out in their lives. So my question to you is, someone who doesn't have a lot of stuff and a lot of space, it seems like you've covered every inch of this that you possibly could with things that are significantly valuable to you as a person.
Well, a lot
All
of
of
the
it's
stuff
valuable
was
to you.
in storage at various
I see.
parent homes.
You do have shit. It's just it's safe in other areas.
Yes, and
I see.
so that was a bit of it, and I've definitely downsized a lot, but also, like, if you look at, it's not like this stuff is freshly bought. A lot of this I've clung on to for years.
Oh yeah.
I haven't bought a
that.
new poster in years, but it's just sentimental stuff from conventions, concerts, protests.
Your Touche Amore Fall 2017, that's somebody else's, like, 1968, Summer of Love tour poster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's so. But at the same time, it put in perspective of, with everything happening in the world, of I could leave all this behind, the posters, the artwork. It's cool that I've hung on to it, but it is a pain in the ass, and if I had to go to a different country, I would offer it to whoever was interested, but I would trash it if worse came to worse. But because at this point, it's like the art that really mattered to me, like those paintings up there are worth more to me than every other poster, because I can't make them because I was at a different point in my life when I was drawing and painting those things.
I will say, let's say you lose one of the posters or something, right? The great thing about nostalgia is you're going to think about that poster that you don't have anymore, and you're going to say, oh, that was a different time in my life, and I'm not able to buy that poster anymore or get it anywhere. Yeah. So there'll still be attachment in that way.
Yeah, or I'll make a piece of art that alludes to the same energy or the same ethos as it. And because I've had 2 fire scares. This place caught fire in September, and then with that, where I did have that moment of, oh, this might be it.
Mm-hmm.
This totally might be it. And I think it's a humbling, eye-opening experience, and I hope that if other people do have those moments, they think, oh, other people are dealing with that all over the world every second of every day. Like Palestine, everyone's just, oh, that place I lived in all my life is gone. And that's how I kind of view it as, is it's cool that I get to value all this, but it definitely is on my mind that other people are losing.
Oh yeah.
Constantly. And that's with everything happening in the US, where it's just preparing myself of I may have to leave. But at the same time,
that's such a, but you say that like, oh, I may have to leave, like it's a threat, but I mean that could be a blessing too.
Yes.
You say,
totally.
I don't have any attachments. I'm a single guy. What if I meet someone out in Europe? Is it a fly? What is it? I don't see it.
Fruit fly.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fruit fly, and I have a showering gun. But yeah, and that is also some of the fun I have daydreaming about. Like, I'm really like, as long as I can find work, or just it's easier to be mobile on my own. But at the same time, it's a weird like blessing and a curse I constantly wrestle with of, oh, I have this freedom, let me be creative. Oh, I have this freedom, I have to be creative.
I understand that.
Because there is a bit of like, the solitude does get overwhelming at times. And that's where it's like a part of hosting the podcast is it's an excuse to see people. Because otherwise, and I ran into this when I was sewing and making my props by myself, is it got lonely.
Well, that's my next question. The loneliness of the solitude and all the freedom, do you feel like this lifestyle closes you off in certain avenues to finding love?
Absolutely. Like, oh, absolutely, because I know the artist activist lifestyle. And when I say like lifestyle, it's just, oh, this is a part of who I am.
This is your chapter now.
But just of saying like, it's not like I'm not living an abnormal life or I'm digging trenches as an activist. It's not like I'm, you know, living on edge and doing way too much LSD like Jim Morrison. It's just that it is a part of, I factor it into my time and into my day. But also it's like, I don't know how that would look because I've never, or not never, but with how the caliber I'm doing artists now, the quantity, how I'm like framing it as a career more seriously, like I have run into that because people don't want to date an activist or they don't want someone who that's on their mind. And it's not like I'm doing illegal stuff or I'm doing problematic behavior. I'm very picky and choosy about what I get.
You're very tame too, by the way.
About what I get involved with.
Yeah.
But those people aren't for me because especially with the fires, that was the wake up call. Was I like being there when shit hits the fan. I like
you're a superhero.
I like being that I could share this knowledge and these skills. Like up there's a student union poster from my freshman year of college. We had a meeting with 6 student groups from 6 different campuses.
Where did you go to college again?
San Francisco State. But it was 6 schools within the Cal State University system.
Oh, wow.
So that was why we were all coming together. It's like, hey, how can we be stronger together? And we were before our time with what's happening now and after our time with what happened in the 60s. So you get this weird middle ground of just...
You're like third generation hippies. Yeah.
It was like Obama was president. No one was taking the threat seriously. And that's another thing. Having seen organizing during Obama, Biden, and after, and all the Trumps.
It's funny that you say that. When Obama was president, no one was taking the threat seriously. You're right, because we got Obamas. We're like, nothing bad could happen anymore. We won, guys.
We won racism,
and we let the gates down. We left the gate down, and the fascists came, and they're like, nah, That blows my mind, dude.
And that's also when I was looking at like what was happening with other movements. It's like, I'm glad I got to be there. Like, I'm so glad I was in LA for the fires, as weird as that sounds, because it's like I got to be there to help people. I got to be there to process, to take on the sorrow, and to really like, oh, the community is going through this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just, I know it's fun to hate LA growing up here, but it's just that, oh, this is our community.
That's true.
And I know some people who are like, oh, Zionist LA is burning. It's like, I'm in Zionist LA. Like...
They're burning all of Diddy's evidences.
And I'm like, yeah, I live up behind that hill. Like, because that's... The thing is, everyone's like, oh, the Palisades. It's working class people on the other side of that.
That's true.
And that's where it was like, hey, we're all on the same planet. And then and then seeing the social media reactions and being in the middle of that where stuff was getting censored, like, as an artist and just as a person, wild to be in the middle of, and I can't imagine what that would have been going through. Like, if I had to juggle kids, I probably wouldn't have been as involved, but also just with where we're at with culture and everything, where it's like, I like being able to contribute to the Irish diaspora art that is going on. I love being able to do that. And getting back to your thing with the dating, it's just like, it's not for everyone. And as much as I admire certain people and have crushes on them, when I see that they're at Dodger games all the time, I'm like, yeah, this probably wouldn't work out. I'm sick of sports. I enjoyed them with my family growing up, but I've had enough of it. And that's just being real. Where it's
you're your own individual.
Where it's like, hey, for someone else I care about, I could totally make the most of a Dodger game. It's not something I want to buy season ticket to or go to. But just,
I'll just watch it on TV.
But you get what I mean? Sports games in general, where it's just like, cool. Like,
but that's not why I go, right? Let's take that full circle there to why I'm an Angels fan. Because the Dodgers are corporate, greedy, displacing bastards. That's why.
Change the team. It's the same situation.
Yeah. So, what happened? Did you see the fruit fly again?
Yes. Go on. Just ignore it all.
I say let's wrap because I want to make sure to get good parking at the Greenway.
Anyway.
And not have to pay for it.
So, I'll close out. There's a few other questions to ask. What would your last meal be?
My last meal? Okay, let's see. My last meal...
Have you been hanging out with Shannon?
I am. I'm hanging out with him now. I had a great time.
That's the question you get asked before you get put in the last meal scenario.
This is why you're in this position that you're in. Last meal, I'll keep it simple. If you're holding a gun to my head and you're saying, what's the one thing you want before you die, it would be a really nice serving of biscuits and gravy. I love me some biscuits and gravy.
I like that you go southern with this.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I could take or leave the fried chicken, but the biscuits and gravy are it's... Whenever I'm at a breakfast place, I always judge it by the biscuits and gravy.
It's a hard one to nail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is. It is.
Nice.
Next question.
Okay, so we've talked about music you like. Who are musicians or artists you hate with like a passion?
Oh, that's hard. There's a band that comes to mind that I saw live once where I was like, these people are douches. And they were called Just Friends. And I hate them. And me and a cousin of mine, we don't see each other that often anymore. But anytime we see each other...
You're not just friends?
And we think about it. We're like, hey, remember that really terrible fucking band, Just Friends? Because they played right before Mom Jeans, and we love Mom Jeans. And Mom Jeans is, I guess, friends with a lot of people in Just Friends. But yeah, we didn't really like Just Friends. Another band that I hate with a passion... You know what? It was so easy 15 years ago to go Nickelback. But you know what? Respect where respect is due in terms of bands that have made a living and money and the kind of success that you and I only dream about sniffing. You know what I mean?
And aren't rapists or hitting on underage?
Oh, that too. And then
I mean, like, we're pop punk. We both like pop punk. Just
that too. Yeah. And you know, it's just like, you know, at what point do you separate the artist from the art? And at what point are you like, you know what? No, everything that this person stands for is fucking shitty. I feel like it's easier to do that with a musician. It's harder to do that when you are on a 6-year lease for a Tesla, paying monthly to the biggest fascists around. So that's you can't separate that art from artist. No. I'm glad that titillated you.
All right. This is a great note to wrap on. All right. Do you have any projects you want to promote coming up?
Actually, I just heard from a community, really cool Filipino band, Apperson, invited me to play on May 3rd at the Barrio. I guess it's a street fest. May 3rd, here in Los Angeles in historic Filipino town. I don't play a lot of shows nowadays, so if you're a big camping fan, be sure to come out to that and support the community and come see me play live.
And your social media?
That would be on Instagram, camping_music. I also have a website, DarrylJBasco.com. And you can find my music anywhere you look for music. It's camping, one word, and I really hope you enjoy what I have to offer you if you choose to check out my music. Thank you again, Shannon, for again, like, it's cool that I'm finally here in this room, and thank you for having me over, and for, again, a solid hang, this is the hang we wanted to have that one time we got together.
Yes,
but then that didn't happen quite properly, so I'm glad that we got a good couple solid hours in of just, like, shooting the shit, and
other people get in the way.
Other people get in the way, man. That's what it is. That's what it is.
I'm Shane Kenny, comedy on all social media. You've been listening to SewBro. Slán.
Nice, man. I mean...